Okay, everybody. Hi, good evening. Technical difficulties, but I've got it all worked out now. I sincerely hope. Um, hi, I wanted to introduce a book that I think I found in one of those, those little boxes people put outside their houses. They, I know that they do this in the USA because we in Australia, we tend to follow what Americans do. So Americans come up with an idea and Australians then follow it. It's kind of a thing. So there's this book called Job Fever, Breaking the Job Shackle by Ray O'Neill. You can actually see that and read it. And look at the elephant. I'm going to read the passage about the elephant. Okay, see the little elephant? I'm going to read a passage about him. Um, and it's actually very, very important. And I want to sit there and talk about it for 2 seconds. First things first, we human beings, that is, we're all incredibly capable of doing anything we want to do. It is simply the fact that we are born cowards. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. Cowardice and fear are quite often very useful. They keep you safe. But in this particular instance, what I mean is that we human beings are afraid to break out of our comfort zone and try to do something new. Okay? And I'm going to read a passage from Ray O'Neill's book, Job Fever, Breaking the Job Shackle from 2002. Um, so just listen up. Trust me on this. It'll make sense when you read the whole thing, when you listen to the whole thing. Conditioned for the job. An elephant is a very strong, large animal. There are few animals that would tackle one. The elephant could dispose of an unarmed human being with a mere flick of its trunk. Whilst great stories have been written and told of the species in the wild, of its intelligence, of its reputed memory, the elephant remains one of the easiest animals to train, particularly so when trained from an early age and then reared in captivity. We've all seen the circus elephant grazing or feeding from hay. Its control is merely an iron stake driven into the ground with a chain from the stake to a fitted iron leg shackle. That mighty strength is controlled by one stake and one leg shackle, on one leg only. The animal could rip that stake out with a fraction of its power. But it grazes on the grass or devours the hay with apparent contentment, usually while moving in a sideways motion. Its training has taught the animal that the leg chain is part of the feeding process. To the elephant, that chain allows a small area of movement within a clearly defined arc. What am I trying to say here? Okay, you can pause it and think about it, discuss it with your friends if you're watching this publicly. But if you're watching it for yourself, what do you think I'm trying to say here? The thing is that we human beings are capable of so much more. We're capable of great success, but we've been raised in a system that tells us that a job is a good thing. And that is true. A job is a good thing. A job brings in money, it provides security, it allows you to do things like be able to save up some money, maybe in some cases buy a house, buy a car, get married, start a family. Those things are all part of getting a job. They're absolutely part of getting a job, but there are other ways to achieve those outcomes without necessarily being somebody else's, and this is my favorite phrase, wage slave, because that's what you are. You're a wage slave to someone else. Okay, I'm a wage slave right now. I totally admit that. I am 100% a wage slave. I get paid to go someplace, do something, do it for 12 hours, and come home. And that's it. That's my life. I'm a wage slave. But I don't believe that that is all I could do. I don't necessarily believe that this is the only thing I could do. And when I came up with this idea for the People's Petrol token, the People's Petrol Corporation, PPC, whatever you want to call it, I looked at myself and I said, well, wait a second, hold on. This idea makes sense. It really does. Okay. We human beings are constantly complaining about how the big oil companies are ripping us off, that they're literally taking something that costs them $2.50 to make, and in some places selling it for $5 or more. 100% profit in the real world? 100% profit on a daily basis. That's great. That's really, really good for the oil companies, but it's really, really bad for us as consumers, obvious, right? So wait a second. What about if we sat there and ran an oil company as if it were almost a nonprofit? If we sat there and said, we're going to limit this to 10% profit deliberately. If for some reason, let's say, for example, 10 years from now, we've got gas stations running. And what ends up happening is somewhere, some way, we end up saving money that month. Okay? And we accidentally made 2% profit above what we were supposed to make that month. So we made 12% that month. What do? We apologize. And we put a sign on all of our billboards that says, last month we accidentally overcharged you by 2%. We've always promised 10% only. So guess what, folks? This month we are only charging 8%. We're only seeking 8% profit to even it out. We apologize for the mistake last month. This month, for the full 30 days, we will only be seeking 8% profit. We're sorry about that. It's not rocket science to do the right thing. Morality and honesty and fair dealings are what people want. And I guarantee that we will have people lined up 60 cars deep to buy our petrol because number one, it's going to be cheaper. Number two, it's going to be honest, moral. It's going to be, it's not putting money into the hands of a whole bunch of fat cats. So the second thing that I wanted to talk about is the fact that, okay, fine, yes, this is going to succeed. As an idea, it's going to succeed. Whether it gets stolen from me by somebody else and they run with it, who knows? Would I be surprised if somebody else with more connections, more money, more power jumped in and got into this idea before me? Not at all. I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. I think it's entirely possible that if I don't keep pushing this forward, somebody else will. Okay? That's one of my problems. But the point is that the other point I wanted to talk about is the concept of people sitting here looking at me and saying, okay, well, Mark Turner, you're a nice guy and everything. You're obviously very honest. You're trying to do your best. And I'll talk about tons of that stuff later. I've actually really tried to be as honest as I can with the People's Petrol token. I've been watching all these videos about rug pulls and stuff like that because I realized that there are signs of a rug pull. And I'm like, aha, okay, if I do the right thing, if I show you by evidence, here, look at this. This is one of the things that is usually associated with a non-rug pull company, a decent company. And this is another sign, and this is another sign, and if I sit there and I can show you enough of those signs, more people will be willing to invest. We need the money. Let's be honest, we need the money. How can we possibly do this without the money? We talked about the fact that money is power. Okay, but you got to have money to be able to do this, but you got to have brains to pull it off as well. Now, yours truly does not have a great deal of experience running multinational corporations that are valued in the millions of dollars. Nope, don't have net, haven't done it yet. Haha. But I'm going to sit there and another line that is in this book, because I love this book, from Woodrow Wilson, former president of the United States during the First World War. I not only use all the brains I have, but all I can borrow. It's not just about me. Yes, I'm the ideas man. Yes, ultimately I will be the person directing the money. But at the end of the day, it's about hiring the right professionals. Maybe a general manager, maybe people out in the field who've done this before, people who are good at oil exploration, who are good at oil extraction, hiring the right kind of everything, all the way down to the people who are driving the trucks and working in the gas stations. Everything has to come down to getting the, and this is a Confucian ideal, getting the right person in the right place at the right time. Confucius said that somewhere in the Analects. Don't ask me. Don't ask me that one. I don't know. I'm actually quite well read, obviously. I quoted Socrates the other day, and I'm quoting Confucius now. Ooh, I'm so proud of myself. That was tongue in cheek. Um, what else? I just wanted to do a quick one, I guess, to sit there and explain that yes, this is daunting, but it is not impossible. We, as elephants, are going to break the shackle. Ooh, ooh, check this out. Ta-da! Look what he did. He broke the shackle and he ran away. I love this book. It's a cool little book. Um, that's what we're going to do. We're being shackled by the fact that we have been conditioned to believe that this is all we can achieve. Oh, we can only achieve what we can achieve by ourselves. No, it's called teamwork. Once you have the money, you can hire the team. And you have to be very, very careful and take time to hire the right team. I used to work at a hotel in San Francisco near the San Francisco airport, and it was one of the best places in the world to work because the human resources department took such pride in its work that it regularly did not hire people who had tons of experience, but it hired people with the right attitude. I think I went through 4 interviews for a job that was the hotel telephone operator when I was in college. Because, you want to, if you're the hotel telephone operator, you can read books in between answering, phone calls. So I got a lot of good, a lot of good study done while I was. So, but here's the thing: I actually didn't get the job in that particular hotel once. And then I went back, I don't know, a year later or something, and I did get the job. Um, yeah, I made some. I wasn't as serious. I didn't take it as seriously. I wasn't on my ball. I wasn't on the ball. I wasn't on my game. Whatever. The very first time. Second time, much better. Went in there, did it right, got hired. But I still went through like 4 interviews before I got the job. What the heck for a hotel job? Literally, let's be honest, in hotel jobs, it's pretty much can you speak English? Can you read and write English? I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude to the hotel people out there. All the people who work in hotels, hey, I did it for years. Okay, I'm not giving you a hard time. Um, is a good job, but you're a wage slave. Sorry, that's the truth. Just telling you the truth. Um, but because it was such a nice organization and it had a really, really good family feel to it, it was a huge hotel, 685 rooms. It had a policy that you, as an employee, must make eye contact with the guest and you must say hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. If you knew the person's name, use the person's name. Oh, hey, Mr. Smith, welcome back. You know how much that people loved that? People loved being remembered. It was, and their friends would be like, "Wow, they know you here," and he's like, "Yeah, I come here a couple times. Yeah, I've been here a few times." Not kidding. That's a huge draw. So when we do this, okay, one of the expenses that everyone has to understand is that I will be flying to meet whoever wants to join the team face to face, and I will spend hours with them because these people are effectively going to be the ones who make a decision about whether or not we succeed or fail, right? The general manager, the lead guy who does the who is the lead foreman, shall we say, for initially one oil well, and then he ends up being the boss of 3 or 4 teams, and then he chooses people. Okay, oh, well, I'm just going to stand back and supervise. You are now in charge of those 3 wells. You are now in charge of those 3 wells. You are in charge of these 3 wells. I just keep an eye on you three, and you tell me what's going on, and I will do spot checks on each of the wells every day, every week, whatever. Um, the, the the people that we hire to be the people in charge have to have an understanding of the concept of authority and responsibility. You cannot have authority without taking responsibility. All right? If you want to be the boss, the buck has to stop with you. Ultimately, the buck stops with me. That's why I've sat there and said very clearly, as part of my idea of, if you get injured in the line of duty, I will take care of you. If you honestly are working on the oil rig, and suddenly we hit a high pocket of high pressure something and it explodes, or something flies off and you get injured, that's on us. Okay? Oh, act of God. Oh, totally not our fault. Blah, 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 blah. Bullshit. No. You will be taken care of because that's our job. That's our responsibility. That's the way I play. Again, it's not a good financial decision. As far as the company is concerned, I'm going to be the cause of a lot of losses, at least those kinds of losses. I'm going to be the cause of losses for things like making sure that people get clean uniforms and new uniforms regularly. All right, having worked as a wage slave and your company being cheap and refusing to give you new boots, or your company refusing to give you a new uniform, it hurts. In the case of the boots, it can literally hurt you and get you down, get you injured. In the case of the uniform, or for example, protective equipment, oh no, you can use the old one. Well, the old one's falling apart, and I'm supposed to use that? Do you realize how dangerous this is? You're going to get me killed. And if something does go wrong, I'm going to die. I'm going to get injured. No, absolutely not. That's not going to happen. Sorry. From being the wage slave guy, I have a lot of grief. I have a lot of beefs with the people who are the bean counters, who are always making decisions which, in many ways, cause people to leave. I'm not going to work here anymore. This is too dangerous. The people are not taking care of me. They're not keeping me safe. This is too dangerous. I'm out of here. And you lose good, quality, talented people. Sorry, I don't know where I came from on this. But here's the thing. Like I said, we are going to be the elephants that break the shackles, and we are going to live our lives better. Now, for all the people who came here to talk about crypto and everything else and the people's Petrol token, yeah, fair enough. You might, well, if you get in early enough, you might end up acquiring the kinds of, I'm not going to say huge financial freedom. It's not probably not going to happen unless you're like right there at the very beginning. And remember, I'm going to have to do a lot of advertising. This is going to take years to build up enough money to be able to make things happen. I can't just do this with $100,000. I really wish I could, but I can't. It's going to take a long time. And when we reach a point in the future at which we've got millions of dollars in the bank and I can fly to the United States, trust me, still in coach, I'm cheap. When we fly to the United States and I meet with the people who are my friends in the United States and I say, okay, cool. All right, I'm sleeping on your couch. I'm sorry because I'm cheap. Um, I've got to do a lot of hiring. I've got to do some people I have to meet because we're at this point. We've the corporation is good to go, and we've got the land leases have finally been released, and I've got people lined up who know how to bid on those land leases. They're acting as our agents, and those people are being paid X amount of dollars to put in the bid on our behalf. et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I speak to, and I have to hire the right kind of oil professionals. And I have to sit there and say, okay, this is the this is the piece of land that I'm thinking of bidding on. Do you want to go see it? And the person's going to be like, what are you talking about? We're in California. It's in Colorado. Yeah. Do you want to go see it? And I want them to sit there and go, wow, this guy's serious. Yes, I am. And if I have to pay $5,000 or something in transit fees and hotel and food for this person who's a professional who I get along with, and I'm like, yeah, this guy's cool. I can work with this guy. And he knows what he's doing when it comes to oil exploration or oil extraction or whatever. And I say, okay, cool. Would you like to? Let's do this. Then heck yeah, I'll pay for the money to to take him to the site, let him look at the ground, let him look around. I hand over all the reports to him and I say, these are the reports with regards to that area. This is how much oil is being extracted from that well over there. So we want to buy here, and there's a well over here, and there's a well over here, and there's a well over here, and they're all currently drawing this much oil per day, whatever, barrels per day. And then he can sit there and say, okay, well, that's good, but I still need to see the land. Cool, let's do it. Do you understand what I'm talking about here? That's why we need the money. If we screw this up, we're really, I can't imagine the amounts of money that will be lost if our first well fails. Okay, if it does, fine. We'll deal with that. We'll move on to whatever the next step is. But we have to plan this properly, which is why I'm going to borrow as many brains as I possibly can. Thank you, Woodrow Wilson. Okay, guys, that's enough for now. I'm not really sure what I'm going to call this one. Um, Breaking the shackles, borrowing brains, doesn't matter. Every time I put one of these videos out, I'm telling you what I'm planning, what I'm hoping to do, etc., etc. Okay? I'll do another one on crypto and where we are with the crypto side next time. So right now, this is probably going to be called Breaking the Shackles. Who knows? We can do that. All right? As a company, we can break the shackles. There's this shackle, there's this idea that companies cannot make a profit unless they are charging an arm and a leg for gasoline. No, no, not if we own the whole thing. Not if we own the well to the gas station and everything in between, and we can control all the costs of everything in between. Why would we have to charge the same level of profit as the big guys? The big guys are doing that, and they're literally ripping people off. Nonetheless, like I said, that's enough for now. I'm gonna have to get a t-shirt made up. The 10 percenters. I don't know. Something. PPT. Whatever. I'm gonna have to get t-shirts made up. But thanks for watching. Have a good evening. Well, it's 1:10 in the morning where I am on the 22nd of April, 2023. Thanks, everybody. See you later. Bye-bye.